A continent divided, the missing link. Look at a map of the Americas. You'll see a continuous stretch of land from the Arctic Circle to the tip of South America, or so it seems. There's a break, a missing link in this terrestrial chain. This is the Darien Gap. The Darien Gap is a 60-mile expanse of dense rainforest and swamp. It sits squarely between Panama and Colombia. This unforgiving terrain is the only thing preventing a continuous road network through the Americas. For centuries, this natural barrier has thwarted explorers, engineers, and adventurers. The dream of driving from Alaska to Argentina remains just that, a dream. The Darien Gap stands as a stark reminder of nature's power. It's a place where the jungle reigns supreme. Nature's gauntlet, perils of the Darien Gap. The Darien Gap is not for the faint of heart. It's a place where danger lurks around every corner. It's a true test of human endurance and resilience. The environment itself is brutal. Temperatures soar well above 95 degrees Fahrenheit. The humidity is stifling. The air is thick with mosquitoes. These are not just ordinary pests. They carry diseases like malaria and dengue fever. But the dangers go beyond the natural world. Criminal gangs operate with impunity. They prey on vulnerable migrants. Theft, violence, and even death are constant threats. The Darien Gap is a place where the laws of civilization are suspended. It's a place where survival is the only law that matters. The migrant trail, a desperate gamble. Despite the dangers, a growing number of people are risking their lives to cross the Darien Gap, a treacherous stretch of jungle between Colombia and Panama. Driven by poverty, violence, and the hope for a better life, they embark on a perilous journey, often with little more than the clothes on their backs. In recent years, there's been a surge in migration through the gap, with thousands attempting the crossing each month. Many are fleeing conflict and persecution in their home countries, seeking safety and a chance to rebuild their lives. Others are seeking economic opportunity, hoping to find work and support their families. They come from all over the world, but they share a common goal: to reach the United States, where they believe a better future awaits. The journey is fraught with challenges, from steep hills and fast-flowing rivers to dense forests and swamps. Migrants face treacherous terrain, extreme weather, and the constant threat of disease, which can strike at any moment. They carry all their belongings on their backs, often struggling under the weight of their packs. Food, water, and medicine are scarce, and many migrants suffer from dehydration and malnutrition. Many migrants are forced to rely on smugglers who often exploit and abuse them, charging exorbitant fees for their services. They may be abandoned in the jungle, robbed of their possessions, or worse, left to fend for themselves in a hostile environment. The Darien Gap is a desperate gamble, but for many, it's the only option they have. They press on, driven by hope and the dream of a better life. Environmental minefield, heat, water, and wildlife. The Darien Gap's environment is a formidable adversary. It's a relentless assault on the human body and mind. The extreme heat and humidity can lead to dehydration and heat stroke. Water sources are often contaminated, causing debilitating intestinal illnesses. The terrain itself is a minefield. Muddy trails are littered with rocks and roots. Steep ravines and fast-flowing rivers pose constant threats. Then there's the wildlife. Jaguars, the apex predators of the jungle, stalk the shadows. Venomous snakes, like the fer de lance, lie hidden in the undergrowth. And the ever-present insects are more than just a nuisance. They're a constant threat to your health. The Darien Gap is a place where nature demands respect. It's a place where even the smallest mistake can have deadly consequences. Section 5, Infrastructure Void, a world apart. Don't expect any comforts of civilization in the Darien Gap. There are no roads, no hospitals, no hotels. You'll find basic campsites sporadically placed along the route. These offer minimal shelter, often just a tarp strung between trees. Food and water are available for purchase, but at inflated prices. A simple meal of rice and beans can cost several times what it would in a town. Clean water is a precious commodity. You'll need to purify anything you find in the wild. Communication with the outside world is limited. There's no cell service for most of the journey. A few campsites offer Wi-Fi, but it's slow and unreliable. In the Darien Gap, you're truly on your own. It's a place where self-sufficiency is not just a virtue, it's a necessity. Section 6. Echoes of failure, past attempts to conquer the gap. The Darien Gap has a long history of repelling those who dare to tame it. This dense and treacherous region has been a formidable barrier for centuries. For centuries, explorers, conquistadors, and engineers have tried to conquer this inhospitable region and failed. The thick forests, swamps, and rugged terrain have always posed insurmountable challenges. In the 16th century, Spanish conquistador Vasco Núñez de Balboa led an expedition across the Isthmus of Panama. His journey was one of the earliest recorded attempts to navigate this perilous area. He became the first European to see the Pacific Ocean, a monumental achievement in the age of exploration. But the Darien Gap proved too formidable even for his seasoned explorers. The harsh conditions and relentless environment took a heavy toll on his men. Many perished from disease, starvation, and attacks by indigenous tribes. The jungle was unforgiving and claimed many lives. In the 19th century, there was a renewed interest in finding a route through the Darien Gap. The promise of new opportunities and wealth drove many to try their luck. Gold was discovered in California, sparking a rush to find a faster way to transport it to the east coast. This led to numerous expeditions through the Darien Gap. Numerous expeditions were mounted, but all ended in failure. The harsh environment and difficult terrain thwarted every attempt. The jungle always found a way to reclaim its dominion. Despite the best efforts of many, the Darien Gap remains one of the most challenging regions to traverse. Section 7, Threads of Hope, Navigating with Color-Coded Guides. Navigating the Darien Gap is a constant challenge. There are no roads, no signs, and no maps you can rely on. The jungle is a labyrinth of dense vegetation and winding trails. Getting lost is all too easy. To help guide travelers, a system of color-coded markers has been established. Blue or green fabric tied to trees or branches indicates the correct path. Red fabric, on the other hand, warns of danger or a wrong turn. These markers are a lifeline for those traversing the gap. They offer a glimmer of hope in an otherwise disorienting and unforgiving environment, but they're not foolproof. Markers can be moved or removed, either accidentally or intentionally. It's crucial to remain vigilant and double-check your bearings whenever possible. Section 8, The Road Not Built, Challenges and Costs of Construction. The idea of building a road through the Darien Gap is a tantalizing one. It would finally complete the Pan-American Highway, connecting North and South America by land. But the reality is far more complicated. The logistical challenges are immense. The terrain is rugged, with steep mountains, dense swamps, and countless rivers to cross. The climate is unforgiving, with torrential rainfall for much of the year. Construction would require massive amounts of earth-moving, bridge building, and deforestation. The financial costs would be astronomical. Estimates range from tens of billions to hundreds of billions of dollars. And that doesn't include the ongoing maintenance costs, which would be substantial given the challenging environment. The Darien Gap poses a formidable engineering challenge, perhaps one that's simply not worth the cost. Section 9, A Bridge Too Far, the Unfinished Pan-American Dream. The Pan-American Highway, stretching over 30,000 kilometers from Prudhoe Bay, Alaska to Ushuaia, Argentina, represents a monumental achievement in engineering and international cooperation. This highway is a symbol of unity, connecting diverse cultures and economies across two continents. But this ribbon of asphalt remains incomplete, severed by the Darien Gap. This 160-kilometer stretch of dense jungle and swampland stands as a formidable barrier. There have been numerous attempts to bridge this gap, to fulfill the dream of a continuous road network from the Arctic to the tip of South America. Engineers and laborers have braved the harsh conditions, hoping to carve a path through this untamed wilderness. In the 1970s and 1990s, ambitious plans were drawn up, only to be abandoned due to a confluence of factors. Political instability, financial constraints, and logistical challenges all played a part in halting progress. Environmental concerns have played a major role. The Darien Gap is not just a physical barrier, but a critical ecological zone. The Darien Gap is a biodiversity hotspot, home to a staggering array of plants and animals, many found nowhere else on Earth. This unique ecosystem is a treasure trove of life, with species that have yet to be fully studied or understood. A road would fragment this ecosystem, disrupt migration patterns, and open the door to deforestation and habitat loss. The delicate balance of this environment could be irreparably damaged. Indigenous communities who have called this region home for centuries have also voiced their opposition. Their way of life is intricately tied to the land and its natural rhythms. They fear the loss of their land, their culture, and their way of life. The construction of a highway could bring irreversible changes to their communities. For now, the Darien Gap remains unconquered, a testament to the power of nature and the limits of human ambition. It stands as a reminder of the challenges that come with altering the natural world. While the dream of a completed Pan-American highway may never die, it seems destined to remain just that, a dream. The vision of a seamless road from north to south is a powerful one, but reality has proven to be far more complex. The safest and most responsible way to experience the Darien Gap is to admire it from afar. This untouched wilderness is best preserved by keeping it intact. Consider a flight to Colombia instead of risking your life on a perilous journey through this unforgiving wilderness. The Darien Gap remains a place of mystery and danger, best left to nature.